Well, the growing insecurity in Nigeria seems to really be giving us every need to get worried. But the question still remains, what approach will be the best way to follow? Should it be that of kinetic or not kinetic? And at the end, will Nigerians have every reason to have their two eyes closed, especially when they sleep? But anyway, I'll tell you not to sleep on it, but rather think about it because we're having more critical look on it later. But for now, I want to quickly welcome you to another lovely time on television. It's Atlantic TV, it's Viewpoint. My name is Mike Egobadia.
And I am Mercy Erabo. Welcome to Viewpoint on Atlantic TV. And you know how we do it on Viewpoint. We start with the dailies, we go straight into the dialogue, and the trending comes, and of course the news. And today's trending, you know, this weekend has been full of interesting gist. Yeah, interesting gist. So you do not want to miss today's trending. And of course, you know, you can engage with us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, at Atlantic Media and TV. Well, we need to go on this quick break. And when we return, the dailies will be next.
All right, my name is Desoka, the comedy catalyst of one of Nigerian comedy.
All right, guys, back again, yes, boss. My name is Osh, baby.
Yemi Alade.
Yeah, what up, people? It's your boy Victor Edi.
Girl Niniola.
My name is my wife, and just celebrity type man.
My papa say, who won't carry cow, waka go, waka follow the cow. I know the life for you.
I see you know you're watching the Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Atlantic TV. Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Atlantic TV.
Informative, educative, interesting, entertaining.
Worldwide, international.
Don't go anywhere, I'll catch you.
Don't touch that die. Atlantic TV. Boom.
Atlantic TV, we wanna party.
Atlantic TV. Culturally inclined and uniquely different.
Well, the papers is where we are now, and you do know, as usual, we always have 5 papers to review. We have These Days, we have The Punch, The Guardian, The Nation, and The Guardian will be guiding us through it all that we need to have on the front pages of the dailies. But I always enjoy starting first with The Punch, and let's see what The Punch has as a major one on its front page. And indeed, a major it seems to be. Protesters defy security warning, vow Villa March. And we're talking about the Ash Nnamdi Kanu and riders to that. Opposition parties back protest. 115 lawyers, medics to join rally today. Kano legal team fracture as that very protest is expected to kickstart. But I'll just tell you to read more of that story on page 2. Let's see if we take some other leading stories. President Tinubu, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, championing correctional reforms through image rehabilitation, welfare, and education. More an advertorial right there on the front page of The Punch, a coalition of civil society groups for good governance. But I'll just tell you to take more of that story on page 36. Let's see if we take some other leading stories, or especially still on The Punch newspaper. The federal government backs defense headquarters as school rumor sparks political firestorm. You can get more of that story on page 12. But what you get on page 9 is PDP convention faces fresh setback over alleged signature forgery. Osibajo leads ECOWAS team to monitor Côte d'Ivoire poll is also on page 9 of The Punch. Tinubu hails ex-Punch MD Osinubi at 70 is also on page 20. But the sad one on page 4 and 5, gunmen shot butcher dead in Lagos Barracks Market and Mami Market. We even heard that incident happened around 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, quite really gruesome. But anyway, I'll just employ you to take more of that story up on page 4 and 5 of The Punch newspaper. Senate to drill NCAA local airlines and safety breaches is a major one on page 26. While the picture of the day is that of our Polo Luxury. And you do know the watch is already, that luxury watch is already here in Nigeria, and they seem to have an office. And well, anyway, it just happened yesterday at the head office in Lagos. And you can see the global high jewelry and high-end watchmaking director and also other major critical stakeholders of Polo Luxury having that group photograph yesterday in Lagos. Well, that's much we can take from the Punch.
Let's see stories making it to the headlines of the Nation newspaper. The lead story. The lead story says, PDP convention, Anya will protest forgery in letter to INEC. National Secretary seeks probe of suspected cloning. A battle rages in the National Working Committee over legal advisor. Well, more of that story is on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Let's see what we still have at the front page of the Nation. Senator actress wife accuse each other of drug abuse and violence. Interesting story that you do not want to miss today on Trending. Well, you can read more of that on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. A free Kano now. Protesters adamant despite police red alerts. Well, that story is on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. English mass compulsory for O-level, says federal government. I don't know what to say, but you can read more of that on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Ondo youth seek sack of NDDC board member. Well, that story is on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. Let's see if we'll take more stories at the front page of the Nation. Government targets $75 million in flutterwaves at $250 million listing. Well, that story is on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Let's see what we have as the picture of the day. Well, that's the installation ceremony of Princess Olashile Alonge as the Yeye Oba of Ile-Ife. That's the mother of the king, held over the weekend. The event was attended by the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja Keji, along with Senator Tokumbo Abiru and other dignitaries who all appeared, as you can see, in elegant white traditional attire to celebrate this great occasion. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on the Nation. Let's see what this day has for us today. The lead story says FAAC, NUPRC remitted 6.2 trillion naira revenue in 9 months despite oil output fluctuations. And the riders say transfers represent over 11.4% of Nigerians' 55 trillion 2025 budget. NNPC submits reports on alleged $42.3 billion discrepancies. Under remittance documents covers 2011 to 2017. Well, more of that story is on page 5 of this day newspaper. Let's see if we'll still have more at the front page. PDP. Governors abandoning platform that brought them to power will soon regret. Interesting. We have lots of writers to that. It says they are defecting because of greed, selfishness, and covetousness. I think I slightly agree with this. Boast it's unfazed, focused on Ibadan convention. Yes, if you like leave, we still have all the power. Interesting. That's why they are the People Democratic Party. Insist that the people, not governors, make parties. Yes, the people make parties. Power to the people. Well, that's on page 5 of this day newspaper. Let's see if we still have more. Yeah. Ned Nwoko accuses wife Regina Daniels of a drug-fueled violence. Well, interesting story coming up later today on Trending, but you can still read more of that on page 35 of this day newspaper. And the picture of the day. Yeah, this picture was taken during the 2025 annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank in Washington, D.C. between the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, that's Olayemi Kadoso, and Nigeria's Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Uzoka. Anyways, that's all we're taking this morning on this day. Let's see what The Guardian has for us. The lead story says farmers in limbo as bureaucracy stalls 50 billion naira tractor rollouts. A well interesting story on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. Yeah, we still have more here. Federal government reverses policy on maths as parents, teachers protest. Now I see where all of that is coming from. Well, you can read more of that on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. ASU confirms talks with federal government team as strike enters a 7th day today. Well, that's on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Could denial not enough? Stem rising anxiety, discontent, stakeholders tell federal government. Well, that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Middle Belt Forum raises alarm over renewed killings in Plateau, alleges genocide. Well, you can read more of that on page 9 of the Guardian newspaper. ADC says defections can't save APC in 2027. Well, you can read more of that on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. NAFDAC rallies manufacturers to homegrown vaccine production. Well, more of that story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. Kanu, victims of separatist violence, others oppose planned protest. Well, that story is on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. And the picture of the day, yeah, that's picture is still emphasizing and illustrating the lead story, which says farmers and Libo as bureaucracy stalls 50 billion naira tractor rollout. So this picture is just telling us that farmers are stranded as bureaucratic delays have stalled the rollout of 50 billion naira worth of tractors meant to boost agricultural productivity. And meanwhile, the irony of it is that most of these equipments are lying idle, equipment meant to empower farmers, but now lying unused due to administrative bottlenecks. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on the Guardian newspaper.
Well, the Vanguard will be the next paper for us to quickly look at, and funny enough, it will be the last paper for us to review. And on the Vanguard this morning, the leading story reads, #EndSARS at 5. Wow, how time flies. 5 years. Memories matters unfinished struggle for justice. Writers to that says, why accountability remains elusive, according to lawyers. Politics of forgetting by Nare Naviga and member EndSARS United. And I'll just implore you to get more of that story on page 5 and also 17 of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's see if we take some other leading ones. Showere urges police to protect protesters. We're talking about the #Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, stay off Aso Rock. National Assembly Police warn. Federal government declares prison red zones. But anyway, just read more of that on page 9. What's on a page before page 9 is Vanguard Mental Health Summit 3.0. Nigerian losing young people to suicide, advocates warns. Regina battling drug, alcohol addiction, needs rehabilitation. I can't stand domestic violence. The first one was from Ned Woko, second one for Regina Daniel, but the third one will be on trending. But anyway, I'll just tell you to take more of that story up on page 12 of the Vanguard newspaper. But let's see if we take some other major stories also on the front page of the Vanguard. Nigerians spent 3.53 trillion on raw material import in first quarter, or rather first half of 2025. Serapto National Assembly account for missing 18.6 billion commission office complex named contractors. That very story you can get on page 13. But what I'm excited to let you know, the picture of the day is taking us back to 2020. And you can still remember the protests, especially I can see that of the Lekki toll gate, which still remains very fresh and more revealing in our hearts up to today. But anyway, 5 years ago, this all happened. October it is indeed. Well, anyway, the justice has not been served. Many are still accounted for, and it looks as if it's unfinished business, according to the Vanguard. But anyway, that's much you can take from the dailies. Well, excuse me. You do know why I always implore you to read up and get more abreast with what seems to be on the front pages of the dailies. And you'll be doing yourself a whole lot of good. But it'll be good for us to talk a bit about some major headlines on the front page. And the major one that seems to be trending, which we'll look at later on trending, is the issue of Regina Daniel and Ned Nwoko. We'll not dive into that, but dive into something a bit lighter and one that is also a bit serious. And it's the issue of the reversal of the government saying now that mass is compulsory English and Maths for O-level students. And with what we saw also on the front pages of the day, it looks as if that change of heart seemed to have come after parents and teachers screamed to the high heavens about the removing of Maths as mandatory as it concerns art students. Mercy, I know both of us are way off there. We have done our, seen that, done that, and we're not there anymore. But do you feel a change of heart is in the best interest of the students, as being said by the parents and teachers?
Well, I know parents would want the best from the children. The teachers might want the same too, but I don't really think it's necessary, because Maths for art students, I said it last time, I don't really think they need all of this, because you just get to do, fine, you need to have basic knowledge of it, but it shouldn't be a criteria to get into higher institutions, because you can't be there, keep on receipting for this mathematics examination, and meanwhile you were supposed to be in the uni doing all of your arts and humanities courses. So I don't really think it's necessary. I feel they should just do what they can do. Parents want the best from the children, and I know the federal government also wants the best for the students too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, another major one that seems to also be on the front page of the dailies this morning is the issue of the PDP convention, which again has been put on hold. And while it's really getting many persons talking, especially with the gale of defection that seems to be hitting that very political party. Well, anyway, Mercy has her own view about it, and she feels those defectors are indeed betrayers. But anyway, the question is, who will want to be in a sinking ship?
That's a big question.
That's the question. And knowing that well, they've not, the main idea is you intend to continue your second term in office. Now, you don't know who your national chairman is yet. You don't know the convention date yet. You don't know who is going to sign your certificate yet. And yet you are still in the ship. Would that not make every sense to depart from that ship and go to a more stable ground, which seems to be the ruling All Progressive Congress? Hence, they are seeing a gale of defection of the PDP. Now, as we only know, 3 governors are the ones alone in the PDP. We're talking of no other person but Makinde, Fintri, and also Bauchi Governor Bala Mohammed. Would they also jump ship? Well, anyways, who would ever imagine that Bayelsa will go the way of the APC after decades in the hands of the PDP? Well, anyway, only time will tell. But I need to tell you that we need now to go on that very break. And when we come back, dialogue will take center stage right here on Viewpoint on Atlantic TV.
When the lights go out, who do you call? Ticado! Ticado Energy Solutions Limited, your plug for electrical power, surveillance system, and entertainment. From expert electrical installation to efficient eco-friendly solar inverter systems, no matter the size, Ticado delivers smart energy solutions designed for today and tomorrow. We also help you secure your space with our cutting-edge security and surveillance system. Enjoy crystal clear entertainment with our professional DSTV and cable TV installation. Visit Ticado today at Block F4, Suite 41 and 42, HFP East Line Plaza, Abraham Adesanya, Aja, Lagos. Or call 0906 902 5025 or 0815 176 6817. Explore our services at ticado.com.ng. Ticado Energy Solutions Limited. Power, protection, peace. Atlantic TV, culturally inclined and uniquely different.
Don't miss out on exciting news, events, and more. Stay connected by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV.
It is back, it is bigger, and it's better. The Future of the Warri Child second edition is here. It's a one-day career seminar designed to inspire and equip senior secondary school students for greatness. Seeing beyond limits, unlocking the potential of the Warri Child. Date is 24th day of October 2025. Time 9 a.m. Venue, the Brown Hill Colosseum, Warri in Delta State. Powered by Coral Care Foundation. For more inquiries, please call 08034659576 or 07031946811. The future is bright.
Atlantic TV, culturally inclined and uniquely different.
My name is Desoka, the comedy catalyst of one of Nigerian comedy.
Alright guys, back again, yes boss, my name is Baby.
Yemi Alade.
Yeah, what up, people? It's your boy Victor 80.
Girl Niniola.
My name is my wife Niger Celebrity Type Man.
My papa say, who won't carry cow, waka go, waka follow the cow. I know the life for you.
As you know, you're watching the Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Atlantic TV. Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Atlantic TV.
Informative, educative, interesting, entertaining.
Worldwide, international.
Don't go anywhere, I'll catch you.
Don't touch that die. Atlantic TV. Boom.
Atlantic TV, we wanna party.
Atlantic TV, culturally inclined and uniquely different.
I am SP Dafe Bright and this is Delta State Police Command. Today we'll be treating and addressing an issue that's different from what we've been doing before. Not parading suspect this time, but bringing to you a very important information. Do we know that over 85% of Nigerians do password their phones, whether it's Android phones or iPhones? There's always a password. But how come when we lose our phones, by the time we go to retrieve our lines, we'll go to our bank to check our bank statement, we discover that these people who collected these phones must have siphoned the phones. Now, there are times the people who steal these phones, it is not your phone that they actually need. What they need is your SIM card. Now, how does the SIM card become useful to them? Not just any SIM card, but a SIM card that is linked to your bank account, the one that you usually use to receive SMS alerts. That is what they need. Now, by the time they collect your phone, steal your phone, rob you of your phone, what they do is that they remove this SIM card from your phone and insert it on another phone. So your phone does not really need to power on. They don't even need you to give them your phone password. They don't even need your ATM password. The moment they have access to your SIM card, they can do anything they want to do with your bank account, because all they need is to generate an OTP, and the message, the OTP that is called one-time password, will be sent to that your SIM card, and with that they can do anything they want to do with your account. That is why people lose millions of their life savings simply because they lost their phone. By the side of this video, we'll be doing an illustration. You will see an illustration that talks on how you can password your SIM card. Now, the topic that we are here to discuss, passwording of SIM card. When you get a phone, pick that your phone now. See how you can password your SIM card. If you password your SIM card, by the time for any reason, your phone gets to the wrong hand, even if they remove your SIM card and insert on another phone, the first thing that you will get is a prompt that you should enter your SIM PIN. The moment they cannot get the SIM PIN, they cannot use your SIM card for anything. After the trial of 3, the POC prompt will come because the SIM card will be blocked, and you can only unblock that SIM card when you have the POC number. Some of us don't have our SIM pack, because on the SIM pack it is written there the SIM PIN and the POC number. But because some of us don't have our SIM pack, I would advise you to quickly locate the nearest office of your service provider, be it Airtel, Globalcom or MTN. Approach them and request for your POC number. Once you've gotten your POC number, you follow these instructions and ensure that you password your SIM PIN. Your SIM PIN is very, very important. On my phone, for instance, once you turn off the phone and you turn it back on, you must enter your SIM PIN. If you cannot enter your SIM PIN, the SIM card will be useless. And I'm telling you, once they cannot have access to your SIM card, your money will be safely in the bank. They cannot have access to. There was a time I lost my phone, and it took me about 2 weeks to go to MTN office to retrieve my SIM card. Why did I wait 2 weeks? Because I knew I had a SIM PIN. I knew they would not have access to my bank account. I knew they cannot even use my SIM card for anything. Some of these people, when they steal phone, we'll be hoping that, we'll track the phone. Some of them don't even sell the phone. They will just condemn the phone and just get the SIM card to see if they can have your money. Please, they say a word is enough for the wise. It is very, very important. Don't see this video and just pass it by. Watch this video to the end. We're almost approaching the end of the video. Ensure that you take the lesson. Please password your SIM card. They say a stitch in time save 9. It's very, very important. Make haste when the sun shines. Not be to come. You don't have to start running and start saying, what do I do? What do I do? When you can prevent it. Let's not forget, prevention, they say, is better than cure. Thank you.
Atlantic TV, culturally inclined and uniquely different.
Every year, millions of lives are stolen, dreams cut short, futures traded in silence. Human trafficking is a modern-day slavery. It hides in plain sight, tearing families apart and trapping the vulnerable in fear. But together we can end it. Together we can protect, we can rescue, and we can give hope. Say no to exploitation. Say no to slavery. Say no to human trafficking. Powered by Atlantic Media and TV.
Behind closed doors, too many suffer in silence. Too many lives are scarred by violence.
in the very place that should bring peace, the home. Domestic violence is not love, it is pain. It breaks trust, destroys lives and families, and steals futures. Domestic violence is not a private matter, it's a violation of dignity, and it must end. Because hitting a woman does not make her a man, but correcting her in love and staying in peace with her is God's plan. Together, we can raise our voices, protect the vulnerable, and rebuild lives. Say no to silence. Say no to fear. Say no to domestic violence. Powered by Atlantic Media and TV.
Fear and grief have once again gripped Sokoto State following the death of several villagers in a boat mishap in Sambon, Beni local government area of the state. As they fled for safety from a fresh wave of Lukurawa terrorist attack, the Sokoto State Police Command on Saturday confirmed the incident. The police disclosed that search and rescue operations are ongoing to recover the bodies of victims still missing. Now, according to eyewitness accounts, the victims were desperate villagers who had taken the waterways in a frantic attempt to escape from the marauding bandits. Despite repeated government assurance, the bandits remain entrenched in many parts of the state, mounting checkpoints, burning farmlands, and forcing rural dwellers in mass exits. Security experts have warned that unless urgent and coordinated measures are taken, Sokoto risks sinking deeper into a cycle of bloodshed, displacement, and also avoidable disaster, thus opening another chapter of violence in the north and adding to the 2,266 people killed in the first half of this year alone, according to National Human Rights Commission. But the question on the minds of many Nigerians is, why is it getting worse rather than better? What are we not doing that needs to be done to curb the growing insecurity? Should a total different approach be taken? And why is the present seem not to be helping out or yielding any major results? Undermining will spend huge amount budgeted for insecurity every year. Well, these and more as it concerns the worsening insecurity in the nation is what this edition of Dialogue will be looking at, especially as we just marked the International Day of Peace just yesterday. And that is growing insecurity, the way forward, is what we are definitely looking at on today's edition of this very lovely program. We're talking about the growing insecurity and the recent call that more needs to be done, especially as it concerns the insecurity, knowing also that we just marked the International Day for Peace just yesterday, and indeed a one that we need to really see how we can really curb. I'm talking about the growing insecurity. But anyway, as usual, to help us talk about it is no other person but a security expert, and I'm calling on no other one but I'd rather call him Mr., but he prefers I call him Comrade, so I'll call him Mr. Sam Edafe. And he's a security expert and has an M.S., especially as it concerns intelligence gathering. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, yes, it was a sad one during the weekend in Sokoto when we learned about more persons being killed on account of fleeing the madness that happened on Friday. And this is not just one story, but one too many, especially looking at this new terrorist group. We call them the Lukurawa, having their own entrenchment into the life of Sokoto residents. Now, this is not only the new terrorist organization that is now bedeviling the north. We also have the Mahmuda, which is also terrorizing Kwara State at the moment. They killed some INEC officials just recently. So it looks as if we haven't having the birth of new terrorist organization rather than we having a reduction in them. So my question now is, why are things getting worse rather than better? And I just want you to really let us understand why this growing insecurity seems to be increasing by the day rather than we putting a wedge and a halt to it.
Okay, for the benefit of those who put one small, for the benefit of those who have not already had us talk on this platform, these basic issues, I think I'm going to go to the basics. Let's look at how it started.
Okay.
And you just mentioned, as much as I believe, they are actually new.
Yes.
They've been there from inception. And unfortunately, they were hiring some elements in the house to protect their own land. Unfortunately, somehow they got it wrong and they became, instead of becoming the hunter, they became the ones that are able hunter. They became the one that was able to protect the people and not the people who are able hunting people.
Yes.
Then now it brings us back to the fundamental, which is the basics. Are we getting it right? It's getting worse by the day. But it's not really a lose-lose situation. There have been some, wins in the southeast here.
Yes.
There has been some level of
we do know.
But basically, in the northwest and the northeast, I think it's not yet good. It's getting worse. And I can attribute that to the fact that maybe the relative peace we had for a while has been overtaken by these bandits and who think, and you attribute this to some factors. You can't look at some basic factors that you know what it is. We are getting close to the year of politicking and all that. So these are things that must. I know the act of terror is to instill fear and to win more grounds for themselves. So it's not totally out of place. We expected this kind of thing. The only thing I expected the government, and those who are saddled
with the responsibility
of governance, should think ahead of the terrorists and bandits and whatever you call them. So I think so, sincerely, that the federal level, the federal government at the center, in charge of dispensation of security measures, should be able to think out of the box. Because we already know their pattern. There's been a pattern.
Because that this question, we seem to know them. Now, this terrorist organization, the new, they are not relatively new. They've been there. We understand how they operate. So it beats everybody's imagination that we are still not having it right. Rather than having more terrorists go down or be neutralized, as we call it, we're having even the birth of new ones coming on board. So we'll come to the approach because I'm really concerned. But now let's look at the impact this seems to have on Nigerians. In my last count, we had 61 companies leaving Nigeria shores in the last 4 years. Yes, we do know the forest crisis was also a contributor. But if you look at it, insecurity took center stage. And reason, many businesses are closing shop. International businesses are closing shop and leaving the shores of this now. But my next question as we build our talk, especially as it concerns insecurity, let's look at what impacts this growing insecurity is having on the lives of even ordinary Nigerians. Let's look at the impact.
You see,
businesses, villages are now closing shop. Businesses, we're talking about major markets, especially in the northeast, northwest. And funny enough, even the north central, it seems not to be thriving anymore on account of this.
Now, the socioeconomic impact on the negative cannot be overemphasized. There are a lot of things that have gone wrong in this country. And you see, until we get it right, until you start, any unstable economy, security-wise, is always on a negative trend.
Okay.
It will always propel downwards.
Yes.
So we need to get it right. That's only when you cannot be sure of multinationals finding their way back to this country. If I imagine me bringing basically, I want to come here to do business and I'm not secured, I'm not safe. Why would I want to come to somewhere that I'm not secured? I can't guarantee the security. Nobody can guarantee my security and the security of my workers and all that. So I think that you can't overemphasize the economic impact on negative, like I said earlier. So it will come to what we should do.
Yes.
But you cannot really overemphasize. It's really, we're talking about a shortage of security for food, Look at, for instance, you see the hyperinflation trend, inflationary trend is hinged on the insecurity because those who ought to go to farm don't go to farm anymore. There is no food production and there is no security of lives. And so it cuts across all spheres, socially, economically, and all that. So you cannot quantify, even educationally, because people don't go to schools.
We have about 10.2 million out of school children, especially in the northeast.
So its impact cannot be overemphasized. You can't downplay it in any way.
Okay, now, as much as you've talked about the impact, you're just often pushing me to really ask the fundamentals. And the fundamentals is, why are we really not getting any results? I could still remember the 2025 budget for defense is 6.11 trillion. Is the highest we've ever had as it concerns defense in this country, in the history of Nigeria. We've never had 6.11 trillion being budgeted for defense. So my question, naturally, if that much is being budgeted for defense, basically we'll feel our villages will be safe, we'll feel our rural areas will never be under threat of attacks from these marauding bandits. But rather, that's not the case. So my question is, how come we've put it, because I could still remember President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's speech when he gave that at the National Assembly, when he said the 6.11 trillion that was budgeted for defense was needed to deal with these problems. But yet here we are. How many months after we are still struggling? How come this huge amount is not making any significant impact as it concerns securing Nigerians?
It all depends on how it is being managed and how and what is being budgeted for, what you do with it and all that. Until you get it right, which is the basics. Until you get the basics right, you can even budget $10 billion and it won't make any impact. So number one, we need to get it right. Leadership, square pegs in square holes, and make sure that those who are saddled with responsibility of appropriating these funds are diligent in nature and people with high level of integrity. Otherwise, corruption, it will always, you will see.
So are you saying most of these funds are being siphoned, hence we are not getting the results?
You can't rule that out. I think one of the major problems we have as it affects the battle against insurgency and act of terror is corruption. We'll come to that basically, but I think I know basically one of the major problems we have is corruption. So until that is majorly nipped, you can't have a win-win situation.
Now, do you feel insecurity has taken a commercial trend?
It is commercial, and I think that until we know what to do, we won't get it right. And I know it's a money spinning venture for a lot of people and I know that, I mean, as much as we don't want to talk about this on air, but, we have intelligence that those who are, who are saboteurs along the line, you see that even those within the system are saboteurs because they are making so much money. The economic gains cannot be quantified. So they make so much money from it. So it has become a money spinning venture for them. So it's been commercialized. You understand what I'm saying? So you will see that they will always be saboteurs down the line. We will always make sure that this thing does not come to an end. Unfortunately, we are within the sphere of political hibernation. So we need to get Nigeria out of. And the only one way I'm going to come, it's not as if I'm going to solutions though. We need to institutionalize our institutions, make them very, very dependent and can be able to stand on their own. Not that they are being controlled by one or two factors. So I think that Nigerians should begin to ask questions when necessary. With enough of sitting on the fence, we should begin to ask those who are in the helm of affairs, what are you doing? It's like just budgeting about 6.1 trillion naira, and everybody, even the National Assembly, is that there are no oversight factions. People don't ask questions. They don't ask what the funds were done. What did you do was the funds judiciously used and all that. So it's hard time and just begin to ask questions. I don't know if our activists are sleeping. I don't know if those our pro-democratic activists, whether they are sleeping, they don't ask questions anymore. In those days, we used to get it right. People used to ask questions. We don't ask questions anymore.
So now I'm going to really ask the question, is it the approach we are taking? Yeah, because you just talk about politics. It looks as if it has a mix of all. It's now more business for some certain persons that end up shipping these ammunitions either from the borders down into our shores, or even some people are making a huge amount, especially as it concerns ransom taking. We've seen on social media many of these bandits, lords or kingpin, as they call them, celebrating huge ceremonies, all on account of cashing out. So we do understand the business. We also understand the politics you are talking about, because just 2 months ago, or rather last month, August to be precise, the Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, said the hike or the spike in issues of insecurity is all geared towards the 2027 general election. Yes, we understand all of that, but we will also understand that this did not start now. It started some years ago. It started way back, up to towards the Yar'Adua era, rolled in during the Jonathan era, took a monster dimension during the Buhari era, and now is now more of a big problem for all Nigerians in the Tinubu era. So it's not a problem that started now. But my question is, are we using the right approach to deal with this monster called terrorism? Is our approach, we know we are using the kinetic approach. Is the kinetic approach really working at all?
Now, I think
because we see many cases of them being neutralized.
Now, let's be very, very serious.
Yes, let's understand.
We have a very peculiar situation in Nigeria.
Peculiar in what sense?
Peculiar in the sense that it has ethno-religious inclination. You know, there are diverse ways to this thing. You know, I think that initially we talked about how it started, the fundamental, how it started the metamorphosis. It actually started in the Obasanjo regime, and I know that Obasanjo had a time. I think he went to see Yusuf some time ago, the young man who started the Boko Haram stuff. You know, he had a discussion and all that, and they were even paid. I remember Ali Bono, what is the Modu Sharif?
Modu Sharif,
yes,
from
Borno State, the former governor of
during
Borno
1999 to 2003.
So he reached out to them. And I think Shetima did same too. And when Jonathan came, even when Jonathan came on board, during the Yar'Adua, I think Jonathan was able to maybe reach out. Even when they were trying to reach out to those in Niger Delta area here, they still
was also adding.
So I think that was the non-kinetic issue I'm talking about, non-kinetic measures they were using to see how they can be able to manage this thing. Now that brings me to the question about ideology. You know, ideology and so when is ideology? It's much more, especially when it's not faith-based, much more easy to deal with. When the people are, you know, is a problem, we are trying to deal with socio-economic problems. You know, it's much more easy to deal with. So we can come to the drawing table, we come to the table and, you know, we have discussions, we deliberate and see how we can resolve it, you know. But when it becomes faith-based, vis-a-vis ideology, it becomes much more difficult. To curtail because at that level, you wouldn't understand them, you know. So the only way we can do is to probably set up machinery, like what is obtainable in Indonesia and in Saudi Arabia, for instance. You know, they have a more robust, you know, de-radicalization process in Saudi Arabia. They involve Islamic clerics and all that to see how they can be able to de-radicalize them, make them understand that, you know, you come to them and make them understand that, okay, this what you are doing. It's not this is not what the Quran says, this is not what this says and all that. If they are Christians, bring the church body into place, then bring, but if it's Nigeria, now for instance, I'm going to solutions anyway. You know, these are things we should get right. So I come back to the fundamental. Is it ideology? Is it basically out of economic gains? It is, you know, so, but that's why I said Nigerian situation is a peculiar one, because the factors that are responsible for the Nigerian situation are multidimensional. They are multidimensional. It's not just one thing, like you have in, you know, global trend where we have France, they say, okay, this was basically because of this. You know, Nigeria is worse than that kind of situation. So we have to have a multidimensional approach. Probably a 6-point multi. You know, the objective is to make sure that, okay, we'll bring this down. So, you know, I'm going to go there when we go to the solutions, but that we need to look at the problems as they are. What was the reason? And now, for instance, now, in the north there, we'll talk about that. But in the southeast, we'll talk about inequality, you know, in marginalization and all that. So these are things you will look at, you know. So, but that gave birth to all this. So agitation can come. If it's agitation, people can be talked with. People can
just
be,
like
you know,
the Niger Delta
issue, you know, and people will, you know, down their tools. But when it comes to ideology and faith and all that, or they hinge their criminality on faith, you know, because people can just say, okay, we are doing this based on faith. Basically, that's not it. They just hinge it. You know, they put their
but they have another interior motive.
The ulterior motive is to generate revenue and probably take absolute control. And the act of terror, don't forget, is to instill terror and take possession. So when they come, and it might be a long-term plan. Probably they want to come and harness a people, harness a land grabbing, or maybe take over your territory and all that. So these are just things that can be responsible for this kind of thing.
Okay, now we're still talking about why we seem not to be getting it right. Yeah, you've now talked about us starting, or this problem started with ideology, has now come into more of business. But irrespective of it, if we have a good system in place, At least, even if you cannot, there's no way you can eradicate crime. But at least you bring it to the barest minimum. Now, my next question is, because if we take our mind back to 8 of these months, we saw the Northern elders visiting President Tinubu and asking these same questions I'm asking you. Why is this problem not going? Why are we still having a runoff of what seems to be happening in the North, and we're now having bet of new terrorist organizations rather than having them reduced? And one of the major things I felt the Northern elders also requested for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the changing of the service chiefs. They feel they've overstayed, and because of that, they seem to now be a part of the problem rather than a solution. So my question is it a matter of changing the service chief? Do we need to change our total architecture as it concerns the security, bring in a new face, bring in a new drive, remove some of these persons that are now so entrenched in the issue? So will a change of service chief be the beginning of us having this? If you still remember, I'd rather take your mind back to also during the era of President Muhammadu Buhari, late President Muhammadu Buhari. He had just 2 service chiefs all through his 8 years. When even the problem was heightened way back in 2021, he still left his service chiefs. But immediately he changed, we saw relative gain and successes against these marauding bandits. So will the change of service chiefs be the beginning of the result we should have? Or you feel whether service chiefs are there, just like Ndume said, whether they are there, they are not there, the issue is beyond that. Let's understand.
Exactly. I want to tell you that is whatever the Northern elders want to do is basically politics. They played politics. You can't hold that politics. Now, that brings us back to the yesteryears. Yes. In the era of Jonathan, we had a chief of army staff, one general, Lieutenant General Yejirika. Right. I remember what happened. He came out using the kinetic means. He came out with full force, full breach. And we knew what was happening there. What happened? The North rose up and said they are killing our people. And they were going to institute cases of
human rights
abuse against the chief of army staff there.
At Amnesty
So
International.
it's like you now, okay, what you have, it has come back to witch hunt them. You imagine that if it has been annihilated then, by now, they would have been at peace. So I think the North is not being fair. I think
so it's not a thing of changing the service.
No, it's not. I think each time you have a Northerner, a non-Northerner in governance, they try to play politics. I didn't see them meet Buhari at any point in time to ask for this kind of things, sincerely. So I feel like it should be much more than this. And I know that the root problem is more than the service chiefs. So we need to have an attitudinal change at the top level, at the level of governance, then we must, as a people, be ready. Because it's not just basically the government alone. We should have a more robust, if we're going to solutions now, we'll now have a more robust intelligence networking amongst the, interagency community, security agency community. Then we now have to have a communal security agency intelligence gathering network. So is it that we decide to drive it in the office of the ONSA, the Office of the National Security Advisor, or we create a national, what we call a national counter-terrorism unit that is, at that level that oversees the
saddled with the responsibility.
Understand that. So these are things that the government has to look at. Then I basically think, in my own opinion, I think that it's hard time Nigeria, has to come up with the police of the police.
The police of the police.
What they call probably the Homeland Security Network, that will now look at, because basically I told you, it's difficult for this kind of things to be happening up north without the input of
the locals
and even security agents. So when you need to see what I mean, the commercialization of this crime. You need to see how well they are stupendous, where some of these people are. So why don't you vet them? Do a vetting, do a due diligence on this security. After a while, recall them, do your vetting, do your due diligence on them, and know their source of income, how they get it. Imagine a police officer earning those kind of properties, and without your checking. So in those days, in the days of NSO, it's difficult for a civil servant to own properties that are beyond his wages. So that's why that level of corruption was at that level. See, when we had between, I was a young man, but I knew that when Umaru Shinkafi was the DG of NSO then, they had almost a zero level of corruption. Because you're going to be asked, how did you get the car? How did you buy a car? Are you a civil servant of level 10? And your money and you didn't get a loan? So how did you get a car? So these are questions that need to be answered. We need to do things. We need to set up machineries, security agents that can police the police. Until at that level, we will need to have saboteurs at the helm of affairs at that level, because you have a line. Let's assume, let's come like this. Let's look at it, a line down from the. Let's assume that the head, even the chief of defense staff, is hell-bent on eradicating this. Yeah. And he is not the one that will operate it at the field level. We have operational officer. So he's going to go down a line. And if there is a corrupt person within this line, he bridges it and does what we call selling out. He sabotages the line. So before the information gets to the operative, it's already been sabotaged. So that is what we need to do. And that has to be cut short. All that has to be cut short. We'll know, as I said, is that setting up a unit or maybe setting up a homeland, so that to vet security operatives, and at the same time set up probably a counter-terrorism unit that will be able to say, okay, there is no much bureaucracy when it comes to operational level of this. You just Mr. President gives the order, and the CTU director takes it over and goes to the operation.
So it's more like just taking a model after the United States of America that has homeland security. Exactly. That police the police.
Exactly. That's the idea. Okay. So until Nigeria gets to that level where we know that, okay, people, everyone has to be accountable, we won't get it right.
Okay. Now, still talking about the Americans, because you just brought this in. Yes. You talked about homeland security. I could still remember on the 31st day of October, 2020, intelligence gathering made them come to rescue an American that was kidnapped in Niger Republic but was brought to Nigeria. And they came with intelligence gathering. They rescued, after eliminating or neutralizing the terrorists that kidnapped him, they rescued him and took him away back to the United States.
That's really important.
Yes. Now, do you feel we are lacking in that? Because you just talked about policing the police. But let's bring technology, because technology was effective in them getting the precise location of where this man was, having every information on how many persons that were there that had to be neutralized to rescue him. Now, do you feel we're lacking in that? The required technologies to help go after this person. Do you feel we're lacking in that? And do you feel a change of narrative will be there when we start introducing technologies into dealing with the issues of insecurity?
Now, okay, I want to tell you something. Battles are fought by strategies.
Okay.
And the act of terror will not be any less different. Our strategy and tactical formations are so much lacking. You see, the operation you're talking about was one wild thing that was kidnapped by the car. They took him from Niger and brought him back to Nigeria. Now, that formation took place, and the operation was precise. You know how long that operation lasted? From the time of taking off and to the time of landing, it was timed.
Precisely.
Precisely. That is what we mean by tactical formation. You can have a good strategy when you don't have a good tactical team. It was
the American SEAL that took out that.
It was a naval SEAL. Yeah, it was an operation of the naval SEAL, and they came out. They did. See, you go to the drawing board and you decide all this.
Can we do that?
We can do that. We can do all that. All we need to do is to have the right operatives, and that's why I talked about, either setting up a CTU, counter. So you train them, and once they are equipped with the right technology, because this war is beyond, whatever. I know that we have our own shortcomings. That's why I said you can budget 6-something trillion. When it's not in the right, once it's not used rightly, you get it wrong. We can do all that. I think that we have the personnel. All we need to do is to train them and get the right technology equipment. And we'll be out of this mess. So it is either Mr. President goes back to the National Assembly. Let's go to the National Assembly. Tell them, okay, we need a counter-terrorism unit. And I get a director. And you just have...
But is the National Security Advisor not doing enough to deal with all the tactical issues that seems to be there? It's a question.
Now, as much as I don't want to, impinge on the person of the answer, on the Ribadu. But you see, I think it's way beyond him. So I want to be sincere here.
Yes.
When we talked about,
I'm
sure he's one of the first, the first of his kind. It came from the
lowest cadets and the Financial Crime Department of the Nigerian Police.
This is beyond policing. This is strictly an operational thing that requires military precision, and requires military might and all that. So one has been in battle formation. you understand that each time an American, look at, for instance, late Colin Powell, I remember these are people who know their owners, they know what it is. So when they come into the office, they know what is expected. And I think when the battle is beyond a man, you can't do anything. The man can't do anything. It's like a drowning man, you know. I feel that the battle needs to wake up and we set up scenarios that can maybe help him to build whatever he wants to build.
Okay, now I'll plead with you to hold on. We need to go on a quick break. But when we come back, we'll now talk about solutions, especially as it concerns the issue of this growing insecurity. Like I told you, yesterday it was International Day for Peace, and every need for us to talk about bringing peace back to our troubled homeland. And we're talking about Nigeria. The Northwest seems to be burning. The Northeast is also sinking deep into this crisis. The North Central, well, a place that was prized as the food basket of Nigeria, Benue State, is now having little or no meat, or rather food to eat. And well, coming down to even the South, we're having issues of cultism and also ethnic issues. If you go to the Southeast, where organization and IPOP seems to be taking its head. In the Southwest, where we're still having issues of attack, ransom. So it looks as if the whole in the issue of insecurity. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll talk about solutions that need to be done, issues that need to be addressed, and what better way. Is it kinetic or not kinetic? What measures can be used in dealing with the growing insecurity?
My name is Desoka, the comedy catalyst of one of Nigerian comedy.
All right, guys, back again. Yes, boss. My name is Osh, baby.
CME Alade.
Yeah, what up, people? It's your boy Victor 80.
Girl Ninyola.
My name is my wife, Naija Celebrity type man.
My papa say, who won't carry cow, waka go, waka follow the cow. I know the life for you.
I see you know you're watching the Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Atlantic TV. Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Keep watching Atlantic TV.
Atlantic TV.
Informative, educative, interesting, entertaining.
Worldwide, international.
Don't go anywhere, I'll catch you.
Don't touch that die. Atlantic TV. Boom.
Atlantic TV. We wanna party.
Atlantic TV. Culturally inclined and uniquely different.
Well, we need to welcome you back, and we're still with dialogue today. And today we're looking at the growing insecurity and a call for a different approach as it concerns it, knowing that just yesterday we celebrated the International Day for Peace, and every call for peace to come back to this great country. You totally agree with me that things not seem to be going on well. If you look at the papers just this morning, undermining some persons were hospitalized in Cameroon. The bandits still went there to attack them. It's a growing problem that needs to be done. And we lost about 8 people on Saturday, to be precise. They were escaping from bandits' attack, and all of them got drowned. It's a sad reality and a sad one that seems to be playing out. Not just in the north, just also on Saturday, a reverend father was killed in Isuka and he was assassinated. And it's a sad tale of what the violence seems to be spreading, especially as it concerns every look and crowning of this great nation. But anyway, we're still right here in the studio, and we still have no other person but security expert, Omojefe Dafe. He has a BSc in Criminology and Security Studies and MSc in Intelligence and Security Studies, helping out to give us an insight into what needs to be done. Well, anyway, we've just laid the foundation of what the problem is and why we seem not to be getting it right. It will be out of place if we do not talk about solutions.
Yeah, definitely.
You only recover when you discover what the problem is. So, and it will be really unfair if we just seem criticizing what seems to be on ground without giving reasonable solutions to this. Now, I want us to look at non-kinetic measures in dealing with it, because for the past years now, we've been dealing with more kinetic approach. And one that I'm a bit excited about is the recent issue of having less insecurity in Kaduna State. You agree with me that when the former governor was there, Malam El-Rufai, we were having almost on a weekly basis people that were being killed in southern Kaduna. But all of that seems now to be hitting on the past. And when you look further, it looks as if it's more of the non-kinetic approach that was done by the present governor, Senator Ubasani of Kaduna State, in dealing with the problem. He said he brought everybody on ground, talked about the problem, gave them, well, the carrot and stick approach, and that seems to be working. So let's look at this. Not only that, we also do know in Katsina State as it stands, there are already big discussions between the locals and bandit leaders on account of bringing peace. Well, anyway, they might be paying a ransom for peace or be paying monies to get that peace back to Katsina State, but that seems to be working. So let's look at the non-kinetic approach. Would that not be the best way to go, knowing that we seem to have done all we can, kinetic-wise, and yet nothing is happening?
Thank you very much, Michael. I used to be an apostle of non-kinetic measures, but I've come to realize that the best way to curb it is the global. We have a global trend. Okay. We have a way we handle issues on others on terrorism. Yeah. There's a global approach, and I think Nigeria will not be, left out to be able to handle this the way it is handled at the global platform. Okay. Now that brings me back to the non-kinetic issues. Okay. When I started, I think I mentioned that from the days of Obasanjo, through Yar'Adua to Jonathan, there were times that they went to meet with these people, they discussed with them, they had discussions. Even monies exchanged hands. We know a lot of monies exchanged hands. And at the end of the day, you may have a temporary relief. A temporary relief. You will have a temporary relief, but at the end of the day, they will come back bigger and stronger.
So dialogue with them is not the way out.
It's not the way out. It's a full breach. It's a full breach. They have declared war against the state. And here, there are rules of engagement. You don't come and bear arms against the state, and begin to expect, I've seen a lot of the peace meetings they had. You saw what happened in
Zamfara State. I was almost going there. When we had 40 persons that were kidnapped in the mosque after in Safa, local government area.
After a peace meeting. And you saw how they came with gadgets, they came with weapons and all that, showcasing that. It makes caricature of the state of Nigeria. It shows that there is no leadership in place. That's what it portends. And I want to believe that we have good leaders. It's just that maybe they don't know what to do. Maybe they're overwhelmed. But sincerely, the best way to handle it is the kinetic way. And you go out in a full breach. But let's get it right. Let's get the basics right. Number one, I'm going to talk about the solutions here now.
Yeah, please do.
Number one, we'll talk about, for instance, combined intelligence gathering.
Okay.
By sister agencies. Now, in America, for instance, you have about 15 to 20 intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
We are not beneath, Nigeria is beneath of intelligence agencies. And these are, even the ones in 25 or so, 2025, in America, these are just the ones by the periphery. There are other mafious intelligence organizations you don't know. Over 5 that they carry out operations without the knowledge of even the
other major security.
Not even apart from the majors, even those who are, there's those that come. Just like what the CIA used to do, but then CIA used to do these jobs, but now they have left it out. You will not even hear of these organizations. As far as the national
more like outsourcing.
As far as the Congress is concerned, they are not existing. As far as the United States Congress is concerned, they are not existing. And these ones, they do dirty job. You see, when I say the might of the American army is not even known. Because what they put out for you to know is what you know. They just put it out there. And that's why when they come with that precision. They come with that full force. They have intelligence that you don't have. You see when they came to rescue Mr. Walton, you see what they did? They had precisions. When the CIA failed, it was taken over by another organization that was not known. So you see, they submitted everything that was happening within the camp of the Boko Haram. They knew about them. Do we have such organizations? So we need to think inwards. It's high time we remove this mediocrity thing and be able to look for how best to handle issues. Look for those who are qualified to handle these issues. So we look for combined intelligence gathering, consisting of all the sister agencies and the locals. You can't take the locals out of it. The number 2, don't forget that there has to be operational, talking about military operational reforms. Okay. And these reforms has to be holistic, has to be fundamental, getting it right from the basics. Okay, what do we do? The reforms are, we need to change our way, our security architecture. This is no longer suitable for us. This one has been outlived. It's no longer the
it's outdated.
Situations have overtaken it. It's just like the way you fight the
the conventional warfare is not the same thing like a guerrilla warfare. What the modus these bandits operate and the terrorists operate is a guerrilla warfare. They come and take and strike and go back. So the one who was used to conventional warfare cannot be able to come. So you now look for people, you train them, send them overseas, bring them back, send them to Israel, send them to America, train them and bring them back. So we need to have military reforms. The number 3, we talk about institutions.
Okay.
We'll talk about good governance.
Yeah.
We'll talk about socio-economic reforms.
Because if those are not in place,
if these ones are not in place, it will lead credence to the turmoil. So you don't want to give birth to, it's a trajectory, it gives birth, it's launched from there. So these are foot soldiers. Those who are recruited, basically because of socio-economic, problems we have at the foot here, they are easily handpicked. A man who has no access to 10,000 naira is being paid 100,000 naira to just go and drop something somewhere, and does not care whether the thing blows and kills people. He will carry it out. Then, most importantly, ideological reforms. Ideological reforms. At this level now, we need to get a lot of Islamic clerics. We need to get pastors, whatever, Christians, pastors. We need to get them involved. So these are issues that can be handled in this. These are things we must look at. If we want to have, good results as it comes to the fight against the act of terror in Nigeria and a fight against banditry and all that. So we must look at, and most importantly, like I said earlier, in the reforms, or maybe government, get a CTU in place, or look for a cell, a security cell hinged on one platform that drives this counterterrorism. And make sure that from that level to the operational level is short-circuited.
Little or no information
No
goes
information
out.
leaks out. So it's highly tight.
Yeah.
But this one, they goes to the normal bureaucracy,
from table to table.
From table to table, they drop a file from the office of the CDS to the chief of army staff, from chief of army staff to the one here. Before it gets to the theater, those who are at the operational theater, it has gone through even the saboteurs. So the people already have information that even those at the operational theaters don't have. So we look at others. Our models are outdated. We need to think out of the box. And unfortunately, like I said, Nigerians is the problem.
No, we don't think before we vote.
Thank you very much.
Well, anyway, yeah, you've just given us an insight into that, and I'm happy you're saying no kinetic approach doesn't work.
No.
Because we could still remember, like I said, 40 persons were kidnapped just last week from a mosque in Zamfara. This was even after we know that the governor had a peace meeting with the bandits and it did not last. It only broke down. But also we are getting information early this morning that even the major mastermind of that very kidnap, his name is Mohammed Kanikai, has been arrested by security agencies. The news is just reaching us right here on Dialogue. If we get further information, we'll keep you abreast to know whether he was really arrested or not. But leaving that and coming now to this, yeah, you've given us a full understanding of what we need to do. But my next question is, can all of this be done if we do not have a proper understanding with our neighbors?
Regional integration, we need to do that.
Now, because if we take our minds back to August of 2023, when Niger had a break away from us in what's concerned security because of the coming of a new military junta, it looks as if the security problem have just increased. All the way from August of 2023, now down to 2025, September 2025. Which means that our neighbors are not working with us.
Exactly.
And most of all of these bandits seem to be coming from Niger. So how really important is it, as much as we are putting all you said we need to put, we're having our neighbors on board so we can sleep with our 2 eyes closed?
That I didn't really get. So, no, you see, we need to work with our neighbors. There must be sub-regional relationship. We need to work with, for instance, the Chad Basin. Chad, Niger, Mali, we share borders with all these persons. We need to do what we call border intelligence sharing. You understand? As much as we have surveillance over our borders, because our Nigerian borders are one of the most porous borders we have in the world. We have, as the last counts that we knew, we had over 240, access into this country that are not legal. And you understand, you know what that means.
Yeah.
So proliferation of light and small weapons, light and small arms, they come from this basin. So until you share intelligence with these people, they will just allow the weapons to be coming. So the proliferation of arms and light weapons have to be checkmated as well. And it can only be checkmated through border alliance. And that border alliance for now, I don't think Nigeria has. We're not in good relations with Mali. We're not in good relations with Burkina Faso. We're not in good relations with Niger and all that. So within around us, we see that we already have a disconnect from the that border relationship we were talking about. We're supposed to have. Then most importantly, also, we should think about terror financing.
Impact terror financing.
Impact. We should be able to liaise with what we call the FATF. Financial Action Task Force. Okay. It is a global body, that can help to trace funds. Then we can also liaise with the Interpol, then Afripol, then even Africom, the American body that helps to fight, terrorism in Africa. Yeah. And I think they are based in probably Niger or so. So we need to wake up, Nigeria. We need to wake up and see how we can. That connectivity has to be there, with all these international bodies as well. So until we get to that level, we still have a long way to go. I don't see that thing, because I know the chief of defense staff is trying so much. As I said, the Northerners, whatever they did, basically you may discover that it has some ethno-religious inclination at the end of the day. But that's just the way it is. We need to go beyond ethno-religious thinking, sentiments. Nigeria should think beyond this. And that's the problem that bedevils this country. Unfortunately, everybody thinks that if a thief is from your community, he is my thief. He's not, he's our thief, our thief. So we can protect him. They can. So when they see even criminal elements who are tormenting people and all that, they try to kind of protect until he begins to act against them. Just like this Lakorowa, you see, what happened was that these persons were brought in to protect a particular set of people. Now they have gone against them and decimated them. So these are things that we must look. We must think national in our thinking and our expression and all that. I don't think Nigeria gets to that level, we may still not get it right.
Okay, well, anyway, look as if we're really getting it right here. In talking about the issue of the growing insecurity, knowing that the International Day for Peace was celebrated just yesterday. But what should we really do to indeed curb this growing insecurity? And that's why we still have our guest. And I doubt if time is not a friend, but we need to thank you so much before we go. And I'm talking of no other person, but security expert. And I'm talking of Mojefe Edafe. He has a BSc in criminology and security studies, and also an MSc in intelligence and security gathering. Well, we really need to thank you so much. We might really need to bring you back here if there's any change, if there's any improvement, and to see whether some of even the ideas you've just laid bare would be instituted into dealing with the issues of insecurity. But all the same, thank you for honoring. This is your first time coming on Atlantic TV. We truly appreciate you, and we'll really be calling on you.
Thank you
now and then, just to help us out as it concerns security.
Anytime.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, anyway, that's more like a wrap today on Dialogue, and I will always implore you to please go drop your comments on our different social media platforms. They'll be with you shortly on your screen. Let's get your views as it concerns what needs to be done. Should we still continue with the kinetic approach of hitting them hard, just like the United States of America that does not negotiate with terrorists? Or do you feel we should go on a lighter note and do the non-kinetic in having that dialogue, not this dialogue we're having, but that dialogue with them, to see if they'll come on board and have a new leaf and change their ways, just like what happened in the Niger Delta when there was growing agitation, but there was every need to talk. What's your view on that? What do you feel needs to be done? But at the end, how can we get it right and get Nigerians truly secured, knowing that about 2,616 persons have been killed in the very first half of this year, which totally exceeds the 2,102 persons that were killed The same period last year, the whole of 2024, we had only 2,000 persons killed. But now, first half, we're having 2,666 persons killed. What should be done? Well, all of that, we'd love to get from you.
Atlantic TV, culturally inclined and uniquely different.
Welcome to our daily news roundup on Atlantic TV. I am Kichi Tejure. Here are our top stories. Clarification: Maths, English still compulsory for O-level students, says federal government. Federal government completes mass deportation of 192 cybercrime convicts. Defections unlimited. APC tightens grip as opposition fades nationwide. Dangote, MAN to federal government. Enforce procurement law. Put Nigeria first. Trump hits at invoking Insurrection Act. Eyes National Guard deployment to San Francisco. Barcelona posts £17 million loss despite near £1 billion revenue. Laporta stays upbeat. Now to the news in full. The federal government has reaffirmed that English language and mathematics remain compulsory subjects for all students sitting for their O-level examinations, despite the recent review of admission requirements into tertiary institutions. The Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, explained that the reform aims to ensure inclusivity, equity, and fairness in the education system, preventing students from being denied admission over subjects unrelated to their chosen fields. He said the move aligns with global best practices while maintaining education quality and integrity. The ministry also urged students, parents, and education stakeholders to rely on official channels for verified information, warning against misinformation on social media. It further reiterated the federal government's commitment to building a credible and globally competitive education system anchored on integrity, excellence, and equal opportunity for all learners. In a statement on Sunday, the Ministry of Education said the clarification became necessary following public misinterpretations of new policy on admission flexibility. It emphasized that while the reform allows universities and polytechnics to waive certain subject credits for admission into specific programs, all candidates must still register and sit for both mathematics and English. For now, the ministry insists English and mathematics remain non-negotiable for all O-level students nationwide. The federal government has terminated the 43-kilometer Port Harcourt-Aba Road contract being handled by the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, CCECC, over what it described as gross incompetence and project failure. The minister, visibly displeased, said the Aba-bound section of the dual carriageway was on the verge of total collapse, with several portions already failing. He noted that despite over 20 warnings, the company's poor construction methods, particularly laying binder without shoulders or wearing courses, had compromised the integrity of the road. Umahi disclosed that the project, which his administration inherited, will now be re-awarded to competent indigenous contractors to ensure quality and timely completion. He directed that CCECC be issued a 14-day termination notice and ordered the firm to mill out and replace the defective layers at its own cost, warning that failure to comply could lead to a nationwide shutdown of all its projects. Minister of Works David Umahi announced the decision on Sunday during an inspection on the project, saying the contractor repeatedly ignored warnings and failed to meet engineering standards despite huge government investments. The minister reaffirmed the Tinubu administration's resolve to hold contractors accountable and ensure Nigerians get value for money on all ongoing infrastructure projects across the country. The federal government has completed the deportation of 192 foreign nationals convicted of cybercrime, money laundering, and related offenses. The final batch of 51 convicts, mostly Chinese nationals, was expelled this week, marking the end of Nigeria's largest ever cybercrime deportation exercise. The sting operation that led to their arrest was carried out in December 2024 at Oyin Jolajemi Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, where over 700 suspects were apprehended. Authorities say the completion of the exercise sends a strong message against transnational financial crime and underscores Nigeria's determination to protect its digital economy. The EFCC also reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening international cooperation to dismantle cybercrime networks operating across borders. The mass repatriation, coordinated between August and October, was led by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in collaboration with the Nigerian Immigration Service and the Nigerian Correctional Service. The convicts from countries including China, the Philippines, Tunisia, Malaysia, and Pakistan were found guilty of operating the sophisticated Ponzi and cyber fraud network under the name Genting International Company Limited. With the deportation drive concluded, security agencies say the focus will now shift to asset recovery and digital surveillance to prevent future cyber syndicates from using Nigeria as a base. Nigeria's political landscape is shifting fast, with a wave of defections from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress, tightening the APC's control and shrinking the opposition's presence just 29 months into President Tinubu's administration. Governors, senators, and lawmakers from Enugu, Bauchi, Bayelsa, and Kaduna are the latest to cross over. A move analysts say is deepening Nigeria's one-party dominance and putting the strength of democracy to the test. The ruling All Progressives Congress is consolidating its dominance across Nigeria's political space following a series of high-profile defections from the opposition People's Democratic Party. 29 months after the current administration came to power, the APC now controls more than 2/3 of Nigeria's 36 states, leaving the opposition with its weakest presence since 1999. In the Senate, the APC boasts 75 of 109 seats, while the PDP holds around 26, with the rest shared among smaller parties. The ruling party's membership in the House of Representatives has also surpassed 200. The latest round of defections includes 3 PDP lawmakers from Kaduna, Senator Kaila Dahua, Samaila of Bauchi North, and Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State. All cited internal crisis within the PDP and the desire to align with the federal government's renewed hope agenda. Governor Mba described his decision as one made after deep reflection and wide consultation, saying it was guided by the best interest of his people. Senator Samaila, in his resignation letter to Senate President Godswill Akpabio, accused the PDP of stifling his ability to serve effectively, adding that he sought a more progressive platform that embodies good governance, unity, and discipline. The defections have further weakened the PDP's influence at both national and state levels, raising concerns about the growing imbalance in Nigeria's democratic competition. From Abuja, political watchers warn that if the defection trend continues, Nigeria's multi-party democracy could face its toughest test in over 2 decades. The acting chairman of the Federal Character Commission, Kayode Oladele, says the Northern region holds a numerical edge in federal appointments under President Bola Tinubu, accounting for over half of all leadership positions nationwide. Oladele made the disclosure in Abuja during a one-day workshop on strengthening leadership and management excellence in the Federal Character Commission, held in line with the renewed hope agenda. The acting chairman of the Federal Character Commission, FCC, Kayode Oladele, says appointments made by the Tinubu administration reflect a deliberate effort towards inclusion and balance, despite data showing a northern lead. According to the FCC's latest analysis, the North currently holds 56.3% of federal leadership positions, while the South accounts for 43.7%. Oladele explained that the figures demonstrate the president's commitment to national unity, stressing that federal character is not a rigid quota system, but a tool to ensure fairness and cohesion. Breaking down the cabinet composition, the Northwest and Southwest lead with 11 ministers each, representing 22.9% of the 48-member team. The North Central follows with 8, 16.6%, Northeast 7, 14.5%, South-South 6, 12.5%, and Southeast 5, 10.4%. Beyond the ministerial list, the Northwest again dominates with 157 key federal positions, which accounts for 22.1%, followed by North Central with 139, Southwest 132, Northeast 105, South-South 91, and Southeast 88. From Abuja, FCC insists Tinubu's appointments, though North-heavy, remain within the spirit of equitable representation. Oladele clarified that the data excludes presidential aides, service chiefs, and heads of security agencies. He emphasized that the Commission will continue to monitor compliance with the federal character principle across ministries, departments, and agencies to promote unity in diversity. You're watching our daily news roundup on Atlantic TV. We'll go for a short break. When we return, more news stories on the business front.
When the lights go out, who do you call? Tikado! Tikado Energy Solutions Limited. Your plug for electrical power, surveillance system, and entertainment. From expert electrical installation to efficient eco-friendly solar inverter systems, no matter the size, Ticado delivers smart energy solutions designed for today and tomorrow. We also help you secure your space with our cutting-edge security and surveillance system. Enjoy crystal clear entertainment with our professional DSTV and cable TV installation. Visit Ticado today at Block F4, Suite 41 and 42, HFP East Line Plaza, Abraham Adesanya, Aja, Lagos. Or call 0906 902 5025 or 0815 176 6817. Explore our services at ticado.com.ng. Ticado Energy Solutions Limited. Power, protection, peace.
Welcome back. At the 53rd Annual General Meeting of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria in Lagos, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, joined forces with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, to call on the federal government to amend and enforce the Public Procurement Act, embedding what they call the Nigeria First policy. In his keynote address, Dangote emphasized that the government must gazette the Nigeria First policy as binding law, linking budgetary releases to verified compliance with local content targets. He noted that previous executive orders failed due to weak enforcement. Dangote proposed the creation of an independent monitoring and compliance agency to audit ministries, departments, and agencies in real time, sanctioning defaulters through budget cuts and blacklisting from public tenders. He warned that Nigeria must avoid another textile industry collapse, which cost over 500,000 jobs due to unchecked imports. He called the Nigeria First policy a strategic blueprint for industrial survival, urging investment in the infrastructure, skills, and technology to back it up. The president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Francis Meshoye, commended ongoing government reforms but insisted that the policy must move from advocacy to action. Dangote wrapped up his call to action with a challenge to both the government and industry. Meanwhile, Minister of State for Industry, Senator John Eno, revealed that by December 2025, new procurement guidelines will require justification before any imported goods can replace certified local alternatives. He also disclosed that the Bank of Industry, SMIDAN, and Manufacturing Association of Nigeria planned to graduate 1,000 MSMEs into certified supplier chains by 2026, while the Energy and Transport Ministries will prioritize the dedicated power and logistics support for industrial clusters in Lagos, Ogun, Kano, Kaduna, Aba, and Onitsha. Nigeria is gearing up for a global economic milestone as the federal government targets a massive $5 trillion in foreign direct investment through the upcoming World Investment Summit 2026, a landmark event set to take place right in Abuja. The Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, PFIPC, announced the ambitious goal in a statement on Thursday, themed Unlocking Capital, Accelerating Development, Driving Prosperity. The summit aims to position Nigeria as Africa's premier hub for international partnerships and global capital flow. The event, scheduled for April 2026, is expected to draw an unprecedented lineup of over 80 heads of state and government, 96 ministers, 800 speakers, and 8,000 participants from around the world. Nigeria, with its vast potential and global opportunity, is the perfect host of this momentous occasion. This summit is more than a conference. It is a catalyst for growth, a platform for partnership, and a beacon of hope for a brighter future. The Presidential or Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, established by the presidency to advance Nigeria's global economic interests, says the summit will not only attract foreign investments but also empower local enterprises. In its statement, the council stressed that building resilient small, medium-sized businesses remain critical for long-term growth and sustainability. As the countdown begins to World Investment Summit 2026, expectations are high that the event will mark a turning point for Nigeria's investment landscape, opening new doors for prosperity and partnership across Africa and beyond. And to the foreign scene, the United States President Donald Trump has hinted he may invoke the Insurrection Act, a rarely used law that allows federal deployment of military forces within the United States as part of a sweeping plan to combat what he calls lawlessness in democratic-led states. In a pre-recorded interview on Sunday morning, Futures with Maria Bartiromo, Trump claimed he was considering federalizing the National Guard, citing lack of cooperation from Democratic officials in crime-fighting and deportation operations. He specifically mentioned San Francisco as his next target for troop deployment. Fact-checkers note that only 15 of the 45 U.S. presidents have ever invoked the Insurrection Act, far fewer than Trump's claim of half. The controversial law was last used during the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Trump also described himself as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, a statement that underscores his intent to centralize control over security operations if re-elected. This latest declaration adds to growing concerns over Trump's post-election rhetoric as he continues to blur the lines between federal authority and state autonomy. Tensions have fled once again in the Middle East as Israel has suspended all humanitarian aid deliveries to Gaza, accusing Hamas of violating the ongoing ceasefire agreement. The decision, announced on Sunday, has raised fresh concerns over the fragile truce and worsening humanitarian conditions inside Gaza. According to Israel's public broadcaster, Kan, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the immediate halt of aid convoys into Gaza after consultations with military chiefs. The move follows a series of airstrikes on Sunday that reportedly killed at least 16 Palestinians across the enclave. The Israeli army claims the strikes were in response to missile and gunfire attacks allegedly carried out by Hamas fighters in Rafah, southern Gaza. However, Hamas denied responsibility, insisting it remains committed to the ceasefire brokered under a U.S.-backed peace plan earlier this month. The ceasefire deal, announced on October 10th, was part of a phased plan proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump, focusing first on hostage prisoner exchanges, then on reconstruction efforts and the creation of a new Gaza governance structure without Hamas involvement. But with aid now suspended, fears of a deeper humanitarian crisis are mounting. Since the conflict reignited in October 2023, Gaza's health ministry says more than 68,200 people have been killed and over 170,000 injured in Israeli military operations. As global mediators urge restraint, the latest escalation threatens to unravel weeks of fragile diplomacy. Humanitarian agencies warn that even a temporary suspension of aid could push Gaza's civilians closer to famine and disease. Away from the foreign scene now to sports news, Barcelona has reported a £17 million net loss for the 2024-25 season, even after generating an impressive £994 million in total revenue, a figure hailed as historic by club president Joan Laporta. The financial update was presented at Barcelona's Ordinary General Assembly on Sunday, where Laporta, in what may be his final address as president, insisted the club remains on the right path despite the setback. Spanish football giant FC Barcelona has revealed a £17 million net loss for the 2025 financial year, marking a disappointing turn after an earlier projection of a surplus. Speaking at the club's Ordinary General Assembly, President Joan Laporta said the account initially showed a £2 million surplus, but but additional financial charges pushed the balance into negative territory. Despite the loss, Laporta remained optimistic, describing the financial outlook as improving steadily. He highlighted record revenues of £994 million, including a historic £259 million in sponsorship income, which he credited to the club's growing global market presence. Laporta also announced that Barcelona reduced its La Liga debt cap by £90 million, describing it as a titanic effort to contain spending. He emphasized that members remain owners of the club without any need for external financing or personal contributions. On the pitch, Laporta pointed to last season's trophies and the continued development of La Masia talent as signs of a broader recovery. He also reaffirmed commitments to completing the Spotify Camp Nou redevelopment, calling it a key part of Barca's long-term growth. The Assembly approved the financial statements and adopted a new 2025-26 budget aiming to deepen commercial momentum while sustaining debt reduction. The figures mark a slight dip from the 2023-24 season when Barcelona recorded a modest £4.3 million profit with total revenues below £900 million. From Catalonia, where the books may show red, Laporta insists Barca's recovery is real both on and off the pitch. It was pure drama at Anfield as Manchester United clinched a 2-1 victory over Liverpool thanks to a late header from Harvey Maguire in the 84th minute, a goal that sealed all 3 points for Eric Ten Hag's side. United silenced the Kop early when Brian Mbeumo latched onto a through ball and slotted home past Georgi Mamadashvili in the 2nd minute, leaving Liverpool stunned. But the Reds mounted relentless pressure with Cody Gakpo striking the post twice before finally drawing level in the 78th minute after connecting with Federico Chiesa's cross. Just when a draw looked certain, Bruno Fernandes delivered a pinpoint volleyed cross and Maguire rose highest to glance the ball home, sealing a dramatic win for Manchester United. Liverpool's late push failed to find an equalizer, leaving Jurgen Klopp's men frustrated and Anfield silenced. A crucial away win for United and a blow to Liverpool's title chase, proving once again that football's greatest rivalries deliver unforgettable nights. And with that sports news, we come to the end of our daily news roundup for today, right here on Atlantic TV. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms for more news stories and headline updates. Thank you so much for watching. I am Nkechi Tejere. Have a good day.
Every year, millions of lives are stolen, dreams cut short, futures traded in silence. Human trafficking is a modern-day slavery. It hides in plain sight, tearing families apart and trapping the vulnerable in fear. But together, we can end it. Together, we can protect, we can rescue, and we can give hope. Say no to exploitation. Say no to slavery. Say no to human trafficking. Powered by Atlantic Media and TV.
Behind closed doors, too many suffer in silence. Too many lives are scarred by violence in the very place that should bring peace, the home. Domestic violence is not love. It is pain. It breaks trust, destroys lives and families, and steal futures. Domestic violence is not a private matter. It's a violation of dignity, and it must end. Because hitting a woman does not make you a man, but correcting her in love and staying in peace with her is God's plan. Together, we can raise our voices, protect the vulnerable, and rebuild lives. Say no to silence. Say no to fear. Say no to domestic violence. Powered by Atlantic Media and TV.
Don't miss out on exciting news, events, and more. Stay connected by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV.
It is back, it is bigger, and it's better. The Future of the Worry Child second edition is here. It's a one-day career seminar designed to inspire and equip senior secondary school students for greatness. Seeing beyond limits, unlocking the potential of the worry child. Date is 24th day of October 2025. Time 9 a.m. Venue, the Brown Hill Colosseum, Warri in Delta State. Powered by Coral Care Foundation. For more inquiries, please call 08034659576 or 07031946811. The future is bright.
To the glory of God, this library is hereby blessed, commissioned, and declared open for the good of humanity and for the particular betterment of our land here in Delta State through Christ our Lord. Amen.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round. No, you feel like dying, but I see it in you. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move. And our eyes up, rise like the day. Our eyes up, rise unafraid, rise up. And I do it 1,000 times again. And you rise up, high like the day. You rise up, in spite of the ache. You rise up, and you do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise you, take the world to his feet. When the world seems like it's crashing down, believe that you'll take it to his feet. Move mountains, you bring it to his feet. Move, and our eyes up, rise like the day. Our eyes up, in spite of the ache, we will rise and do it 1,000 times for you. ever that we have each other, ever that we have each other. Yes, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise, hey, and bring the world to its feet. Yeah, I'll rise up. I like the day you're rising. In spite of the ache, you're gonna rise in everything that you do. Believe it in your heart. Believe it in your heart.
Welcome back. If you're just joining, it's Trending O'Clock, and you know how we do it right here on Trending. We'll talk about all the trending gist on the internet and, of course, give our opinions about them. I am Mercy Erabo, and you know I can never be alone in the studio. Joining us today on Trending is Mr. Michael Gubadia. Thank you for always joining me on Trending, Mr. Michael.
Well, anyways, it's always interesting to be a part of it.
To be part of the gossips. Anyway, so what's trending today? Because this weekend it's been interesting gist. I was running from one social media platform to the other, yes, because I was seeing loads and loads of gossip, and I was just trying to gather everything. I really wish time will permit me to do all of the gist and stories I have for you today. So what's our first story on the list? I need to take a deep breath because social media has been on fire since videos of Nollywood actress Regina Daniels surfaced online, visibly shaking and with teary eyes, accusing her husband, Senator Ned Nwoko, of domestic violence. In the viral video, Regina was heard saying, "In Ned Nwoko's house, I am nothing, but in my own house, I am a queen. I cannot stand the violence anymore." And these words immediately sparked nationwide concern, with fans and celebrities calling for an investigation into the senator's alleged abuse. Anyways, let's see the footage.
We are begging you, please, please, calm down. Did anything happen to my sister? In this house? In this house? Okay. In Ned Woko's house. No. In Ned Woko's house, I am nothing. But in my house, I am a queen.
No, you're still as valuable. Mom, look at me. Look at me, Mom.
Baby, once again, I cannot stand the violence. It's too much.
Just when the internet was rallying behind Regina's back, Mr. Ned Nwoko broke his silence and his statement flipped at the internet. Let's see his statement. "Regina's unprovoked carnage and rampage in my house and in my absence." That's the title of this. Regina was not always like this. Her current battle with drugs and alcohol abuse is the root of our problem. She must continue her rehabilitation program, or I fear for her life and her safety. And now she has moved to a place where she will have unrestricted access to drugs. I have other wives and none will ever accuse me of violence. Regina is the violent one here, slapping and hitting 3 staff in the past 48 hours and destroying properties, including cars and windows, for no just cause. The truth is, I have set a clear condition for her to accept rehab in Asokoro or outside Nigeria, especially Jordan, where she will not have access to drugs. A clear-headed Regina would have taken Moon to the hospital, but instead, she even threatened to kill our resident nurse for exposing her drugs abuse. While I took Moon to the hospital, a scene of chaos unfolded at home, orchestrated by Sammy, Regina's main drug supplier. And in case you don't know, Sammy is Regina's brother. Another known supplier of drugs to Regina is called Anne. I don't know if this was supposed to be a damage control or whatever it is, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. A senator coming out to call his wife a drug addict, a substance abuser, and alcohol abuser. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this, Mr. Michael.
Well, anyway, it's good for the news and it's trending already.
Yeah, it is. It's trending.
Funny enough, there's always a thin line between love and hate.
Yeah.
If I could still remember, it was they were always telling us that it was good to be in a Lamborghini.
I knew you were going to say that.
Living happily.
I knew you were going to say that.
In a bus conductor's car and living unhappy. But, well, we at the bus conductor end, our wives are happy every day. No domestic violence, no carrying somebody to the moon, to the hospital for rehab and the rest. So it depends.
Okay. So
the rich also cry.
Yeah, the rich also cry. Okay, in case you're a bit confused, you're trying to get what Mr. Michael was saying. We had some time earlier this year when she came out to say it's better to cry in a Lamborghini. And now she's crying in a Lamborghini. Yeah, she's actually crying in a Lamborghini. And then Nigerians are concerned. Maybe if Senator hadn't said anything, maybe Nigerians would just feel, oh, it's the normal cry. She said it's better to cry in a Lamborghini. But now a senator is coming out to say all of this is not Regina. It might be due to drugs or substance abuse that fueled all of these actions we saw. And I'm still trying to think, I don't know, but I think I should reserve my comments because I think, I don't know why she actually accepted in the first place. And we felt like, okay, it was all rosy and all of that. Even when she came online to tell us that some persons are saying that all of these social media displays different from what plays in. And she came out to say, my husband is all lovey-dovey inside the room. It's not always all about the social media. That when they come inside, that he even displays more love and affection than that which we see on the social media.
You know, Mercy, I would really need them to not arrest Regina Daniel for drugs or Ned Nwoko for beating, but rather the cameraman for deceiving us. Because it looks as if every time they want to stage a beautiful together, that's when we see all those pictures coming out and the rest. But this is a clear example for all those women that will tell you, I better go, you know, they see Ned Nwoko.
Yeah.
At least,
Well, I don't know, and I hope it's not real. I really hope it's not real. I really hope they are not splitting because be it whatever it is, I feel true love stands, and I really want them to solve all of this amicably.
But we've seen a drama like this in Hollywood before.
Yeah.
And at the end, there was no season 2. It ended.
Yes, it's ended, but I am praying that theirs will not end because I think somehow Nigerian youths, the females have been saying, this is the kind of love we like. We need to take lectures. We need to take notes from Regina. And all of those persons saying that, what do you think they will be doing right now? So I really do not want it to end.
I'm happy that those pressure on the men now will reduce.
Okay.
So no more go and see your mate.
Anyway, so we are still trying to get if Regina's video was really a genuine cry for help. And while we are still trying to think if Ned's statement is exposing
sorry, are you expecting her to speak in her local dialect before you know it's a cry for help?
Yeah, we don't know. What if they come out tomorrow to tell us that all of this was just a skit?
Okay, we'll just ask the drug dealer Moon and Annie.
Not Moon, Sammy, according to Ned Nwoko. Well, away from Regina Daniels because it's a developing story, and then once I get updates, you know, I'll always bring them to you. So away from that, but we're still talking marriage. So you know how they say some love stories end in heartbreak. Well, this one came with a plot twist, yeah, a plot twist. So a Nigerian lawyer is trending after revealing how a couple he helped divorce way back in 2015 ended up back together and even having a baby 2 years later. The lawyer said he personally handled their divorce case in 2015. Then boom, by 2017 he runs into them again, not fighting this time but living together, smiling and showing off their baby. Mr. Michael, you know one thing I've always said to myself is I will never get involved in couples issue? Because you might end up being the enemy at the end of the day.
No, honestly, that divorce came, but she forgot her makeup kit in his house, so she went to collect it.
Because imagine you just see couples. I've actually had cases of that you see couples quarreling, and you just try to maybe sort things out, being the good Samaritan, and at the end of the day, you become their enemy. You see them smiling and all of that, and you are becoming an enemy, Mr. Michael.
No, that's what I said. With the full story was she forgot her makeup kit. She went there to get it.
Then something's happened.
And that day he cooked. And it was close to Valentine.
Anyways, I don't know what Mr. Michael is saying.
I have the full gist.
You have the full gist. Oh, okay, interesting. Anyways, what I know is love can really surprise you. Sometimes the end isn't the end. You know, that was why I prayed for Regina Daniels and Woko, yeah, because it might just have part 2.
Yeah, Regina still forgets something. So.
Yeah, she might still forget her makeup and go there to pick some things, like Mr. Michael said. Away from that, yes, to a very serious gist now. Big wahala in Imo State. 3 police officers have just been arrested after a viral video allegedly linked them to cult activities. The shocking clip made waves online, showing the officers allegedly vibing and acting in ways connected to a known occult group. Please, let's see the footage.
Come on, put score, man, active. Now for you, 10 and 10. European wire.
Of course, Nigerians didn't take it lightly. You know, when it comes to police, Nigerians will never take it lightly, and mercy of trending will never take it lightly. So social media went wild, demanding answers from police command. Well, the Imo State Police Command has now confirmed the arrest. Yes, they say investigations are ongoing and that any officer found guilty will face a serious disciplinary action. And you just try to think, police officers being accused of cultism. Yeah. And I'm still trying to understand if that's the reason we have all of this police brutality and all of that's going on. And you know, I will always say the police force needs to be reformed. Yeah, because I'm sure if they reform the police force, they won't have all of this. Imagine a police officer being accused of cultism, Mr. Michael.
Well, it's quite sad, and I'm quite confident the Inspector General of Police will definitely make them mount in the jail, in the cell for doing that. It's really annoying. It's not the way that Nigerian police should naturally be seen, and even having them being videoed and come on, shooting guns, just firing into the air on account of celebrating a known cult group. It's really, really sad, and I'm quite sure they will be dealt with according to the law and according to the disciplinary action of the Nigerian police force. So
you're adding force now?
Yes, I'm adding force because it's quite annoying.
Yeah,
and it's something that we'll definitely kick against, and well, it's really embarrassing.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing, and I think the police commands are really doing well. At least they've made that first step of arresting
and
them.
Coming out to really clarify.
Yes, and this actually just reminds us that nobody is above the law. So away from that, yes, Lagos was buzzing over the weekend, and no, this wasn't a concert, because when I saw it initially, I thought it was a concert, but no, it wasn't a concert. On October 18th, 2025, massive crowds hit the streets of Ikeja, chanting, "We need President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to rule us again." Yes, people are already talking 2027 elections. Anyways, let's see the footage.
Bíọ́lá Ajímọ́bí
ọdún mẹ́jọ ló máa lò. ìṣọdún mẹ́rin mọ́. kò ní bá tẹ́ ẹ bá pàdán òun o. kò ní bá tẹ́ ẹ bá pàdán òun o. ọdún mẹ́jọ ló máa lò. ìṣọdún mẹ́rin mọ́. kí ló rú.
So we can see supporters in their large numbers waving banners, singing and dancing, saying that Tinubu deserves a second term in office. And I just get to think, is it campaign time already? Because I thought we were supposed to have a period for campaign. And now they're coming out to say, this is not campaign, it is a movement. Please help me get this, Mr. Michael.
I'm happy they didn't come to say it was just a picnic and them just coming there to really enjoy themselves. But you said it initially. Yes, the campaign has, the ban on campaign has not been lifted.
Yeah.
And there's a timetable that naturally INEC will definitely release come 3 or 4 months' time that will kickstart the whole process. And having them do this now really just goes to show that, yes, what people have been saying that campaigns have already started is true. But I'll just employ the ruling of Progressive Congress and also other opposition parties to please rein in some of their supporters so they will not be seen breaking the law. Like I said, our campaigns have not started, and what they did that very day was more like campaigning for the ruling party and also for Mr. President. So I feel they should just be called to order, and they should indeed desist from doing such. They should wait for the full INEC timetable to come out in the next couple of months before all of that is being done.
Well, and I've been wondering, is this actually a show of love, a genuine support, or just politics?
Well, anyway, they look as if they are campaigning to be relevant when the campaign starts.
Okay, they are trying to campaign to be, they are trying to, they said it's not campaign, it's a movement. They are doing the movement to be relevant during the campaign season. Yeah. Interesting. Anyways, let me ask you watching now, you know you need to engage with us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV. So tell me, what do you think? Should Tinubu go for a second term in office, or is it time to see new faces? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Anyways, time is really not on our side. Yes, we have loads of gist, and that's why you do not have to miss tomorrow's edition, because I have loads of gist here for you. You do not want to miss it. And but today I had a super amazing time here on Trending, and all thanks to Mr. Michael Gubadia.
And all thanks